Good afternoon, everyone. Happy Wednesday. We are so excited to be with you this afternoon, right in the middle of National Apprenticeship Week, to talk to you a little bit about registered apprenticeship and how you can get involved as employers of the Commonwealth. My name is Nicole Overly. I'm Commissioner of Virginia Works, the Commonwealth's new workforce development agency, and I'm thrilled to be joining you in partnership with our co-sponsors of this webinar event, the Virginia Economic Development Partnership and the Virginia Chamber Foundation. So a big thanks to our co-sponsors of this event. You're going to hear a little bit more from our partners later on today. Tim Stuhler is joining us from the Virginia Economic Development Partnership, and we greatly appreciate the opportunity to have some time with you all today to hopefully run a little bit of an interactive event to help you learn a little bit more about registered apprenticeship and the nuts and bolts of it and the value to you as employers, and to hear from some employers. We're going to run a little bit of a panel later on in our hour together, and hear directly from employers on their success stories to date, the value of apprenticeship to them, how their programs have evolved, and a little bit more about the new models, the new ways of thinking around apprenticeship and what it means to them. So without further ado, let's go ahead and jump right in. As I mentioned today, we're going to just run through a couple opening slides to set the stage for the discussion. We'll talk a little bit about the registered apprenticeship ROI, the return on investment, what's in it for you, and how to get involved. Depending on your level of familiarity with registered apprenticeship and the history of it, we're going to just cover, like I said, the nuts and bolts. What the different models are, what's really incorporated in registered apprenticeship, what does it mean to start a program, what's the process look like, the basics, and we're going to talk a little bit about success stories. What we mentioned earlier, those success stories are that employers like you are experiencing across a variety of different industries, as well as a little bit of myth busting. I think there are a lot of myths out there about what apprenticeship is and is not. We're going to talk a little bit more about those so that you leave here today with that, not only the understanding that you need, but also just some perspectives on what to think about if you're considering potentially starting a registered apprenticeship program with us. So we're going to share with you some resources related to that. And then last but not least, as I mentioned, in addition to having some opportunity to hear your questions and take questions from you, we're also going to have a little bit of a moderated panel exploring the value of RA with a series of employers, and we'll talk a little bit more about that as we jump in. So let's go ahead and get started. Just a couple opening remarks. For those of you who don't know, Virginia Works is the state apprenticeship agency for the Commonwealth of Virginia. And that means that we are in large part responsible for helping employers become sponsors, as we call them, of registered apprenticeship programs, working with intermediaries, other organizations that help to launch apprenticeship programs with employers across a variety of industries, and really to help build the future of this program and help to scale it. One of our big goals has been to double the number of apprentices in the Commonwealth. We know that apprenticeship works. In fact, I mentioned that this is the middle of National Apprenticeship Week. Every state like us runs apprenticeship programs and helps to provide support to employers in growing and scaling those programs. And we want to talk a little bit about that today. But the reason we're here is because we know apprenticeship works, and we know that it's really evolving. There's a lot of opportunity to think differently about apprenticeship programs and how they apply to different industries and occupations. We'll talk a little bit about that. And just in general, a lot of opportunity to think about how apprenticeship is one model of work-based learning that really provides demonstrated and proven ROI to businesses. So if you go to the next slide, one of the things I'd also like to start with, if you haven't seen this yet, is a perspective on the talent life cycle. For us as a workforce development entity in the Commonwealth, it's our job to think about how to connect individuals and employers and to connect the talent journey that you as an employer may face in terms of how you develop and hire and retain your talent and the talent that you need, and the individual journey, how an individual gets the training they need, they get the initial job that they need, they build that into the best job for them, and they reskill and upskill over time. And I want to put RA, registered apprenticeship, in that context because I think it's really helpful to consider how it is a model of workforce development that knits the two together, the individual, the employee, and the employer on a learning journey that gives an individual a credential that allows for an individual to earn while they learn, and allows you as an employer to really get the skills and the talent that you need. And what's even more important than that is to help support your new employees in understanding the culture of your organization, in allowing them opportunities for mentorship and to build that culture as part of your organization, and really to support the retention that I think you're looking for over time. And those are just a couple, I think, of the benefits that we have heard employers talk about in relation to RA. I think as your talent journeys and the talent life cycle evolve, and as you're looking for different types of skills in different occupations, maybe than they have been before, it's an opportunity to think about how apprenticeship can work for you, perhaps differently than you may have thought it could in the past. And that's really the crux of a lot of what we want to talk to you about today. So if we go to the next slide, I think one last point I want to make as I finish up these opening remarks and then help us get into the nuts and bolts of apprenticeship is that we recognize as a Commonwealth that your journey is about developing and hiring and retaining the right people to support your business needs. And that's finding the talent that you need with skills on day one. That's incorporating the types of learning opportunities into training and development that you offer from day one on. It's about how you more easily access a pipeline of pre-skilled and motivated candidates who are ready to do the work that you need, attracting more diverse talent and using different types of talent models to find that talent, reducing turnover in the short term, building longer term career pathways, and improving knowledge transfer. And guess what? Apprenticeship helps you do all of those things. It's really interesting. The 4 stats on the right here actually come from a recent handout that we can also share with you all if it's helpful, from apprenticeship.gov from the federal government, around the direct and indirect benefits of apprenticeship. And these 4 stats speak to some of the indirect benefits. So you can probably imagine if you're thinking about an apprenticeship program or any type of work-based learning program, the direct benefits are probably the ones that are easiest to think of. You can get people into different types of roles more quickly through a program like that. You can get them skilled more quickly for the jobs that you're trying to fill. But the more interesting points, I think, actually are around the indirect benefits. So this study that was done nationally shows that apprenticeship drives an indirect benefit. 96% of companies that participated reported improved company culture as an indirect benefit of scaling apprenticeship programs. 91% of the companies that they surveyed indicated a 91% increase in employee loyalty, 78% increase in innovation for the actual products and processes that they were driving, and an 81% decrease in turnover. And those, I think, are some of the indirect benefits we don't talk about as much for programs like Registered Apprenticeship and other workforce development programs. But I think they're extremely helpful to just put in context the value here and to maybe hopefully help you, if you're not interested now, be more interested in what an apprenticeship program might look like within your organization. All right. So with that, if we want to go to the next slide, I'm going to pass it to 2 of our amazing team members here in Virginia Works, Chief Deputy Commissioner Angela Kelly-Wiesek and Clayton Duvall, who's one of our registered apprenticeship consultants. We actually have a whole host of registered apprenticeship consultants who work across the Commonwealth with employers like you to help you design and implement programs. And so I'm going to pass it to the 2 of them to talk a little bit about the nuts and bolts, what registered apprenticeship is, some of that myth busting, and learning more about how it can work for you.
Thank you, Nicole. And hello, everyone. It's great to be with you on this National Apprenticeship Week. So I want to start out with our first slide on our Apprenticeship 101. If we could get to the next slide, please. There we go. All right. I just thought we might take a quick poll to see how much what's your comfort level with your knowledge on registered apprenticeship. And so we're going to throw that poll up. Coming. There we go. All right, awesome. I see some coming through. That's great. Thank you. Keep those responses coming, because I think what it does is it helps us set up a little bit of how we can adjust our comments today. All right. So what that tells me is that we've got a wide variety. And so we hope that we will hit all of those marks for you, and that everybody will have a takeaway from this slide today. So, or from this webinar today, excuse me. All right, that's great. So let me just start out by re-emphasizing a point that Nicole made, that Virginia Works and the Commonwealth as a whole is a state apprenticeship agency. That means that we do run our own programs for registered apprenticeship here in the Commonwealth, and we've been doing that since 1938. And essentially, registered apprenticeship have two key components, and one of those is the on-the-job training, the mentorship piece of that, and also classroom learning. Now, I think all of us in our own industry sometimes tend to fall into, using the jargon that comes along with our industry. And one of those terms that you will hear when we talk about registered apprenticeship is related technical instruction. But the on-the-job training and the related technical instruction, or classroom learning, are the two major components of registered apprenticeship. But I want to be very specific that the design of the registered apprenticeship program is to allow the hiring sponsor, the employer, to really structure that program to their needs, so that you are working to make sure that what your employees need is tailored to the job that they're going to be doing. So next. Yeah. So just a little bit about that on-the-job training. Again, a key part. This is the hands-on experience where the new person who is hired in as an apprentice is working alongside a skilled professional. Now, part of the beginning of this is the works process, where it's laid out as a structured learning process with the mentor and the mentee. Another key feature of the on-the-job training portion would be the progressive wage scale. So you're going to bring in your apprentice at one rate, and then at regularly timed intervals, as they meet their milestones, they will be moving along in a progressive wage, such that by the end of the term of their apprenticeship, they're going to be making a little more. There's a minimum of 2,000 hours per year of that on-the-job training that you will need to provide. Now, it may be a one-year apprenticeship, it may be 2, 3, 4 years, but each of those years will need 2,000 hours of that on-the-job training. And at the end of all this, again, what we have, or what the apprentice will have, is a nationally recognized industry credential. In the skilled trades, you might have heard that referred to in the past as a journeyman's card, or today what we call a journey worker card. But for some of our non-traditional apprenticeships, which we will discuss a little later, what you're looking at is a nationally recognized industry credential. So next, let's talk a little bit about the related technical instruction, or again, the classroom learning. So this is the opportunity for your apprentices to take time away from the on-the-job aspect of registered apprenticeship and spend some time on that theoretical and technical knowledge in a traditional learning environment. Now, that could be a classroom, it could be online learning, it could be provided by perhaps a community college or a technical academy in your community, a third-party provider. We do have some rather large companies and entities that do develop their own in-house RTI, or their own in-house programs, which are verified and reviewed by the Registered Apprenticeship Program. So again, these are occupational, they are standards-based curriculum. They may cover code requirements, building codes, or other industry standards. And again, this is integrated with the on-the-job learning, and the total sum of that on-the-job training is going to be 144 hours per year. Okay, next. All righty. What I'd like to do now is bring in our wonderful registered apprenticeship consultant, Mr. Clayton Duval, who actually works in the Hampton Roads area of our Commonwealth. And he's going to run you a little bit through the process of how our registered apprenticeship consultants interact with you, the business owner, and hopefully the sponsor of a registered apprenticeship program. Clayton? Actually, Clayton, you need to unmute. No webinar would be complete unless somebody had to be reminded to unmute.
Yes, definitely. I'm glad I could fulfill that this morning. Thank you, Angela. I really appreciate that. And good morning, everyone. My name is Clayton Duval. I'm the registered apprenticeship consultant for the Tidewater Hampton Roads area. And I just wanted to take some time today and speak to our process. First and foremost, we're going to sit down with the employer, with you, and we're going to assist you in building out or designing your program to fit your direct needs. What is it that you need? We will assist you, help you build out that program and create that pathway for your employees and your business directly. The next step is to become federally approved, which is the process of adding you into our platform, our Rapids platform. And as we gain federal approval, we move down into implementing the program itself, enabling your apprentices to seek out both of those halves of the program, both the OGT and the RTI. And then there really isn't an end to the consultants' assistance. We help or assist the employer, working through the process. And ultimately, at the end, as Angela has said, you enable your employees, your apprentices, to receive that national credential, the historically referred to as Journey Worker Card. If I may have the next slide, please. And if I can have just some time to speak about the different types of programs. The time-based program is generally reserved for any occupation that is best tracked by the time spent in the occupation. And as we move through the different types of competency-based programs, we tend to see in occupations, say, that are a bit more white collar, if you will, newer occupations, newer industries are taking advantage of the competency-based programs, which are more of a yes or no pass-fail situation versus the more traditional time-based approach. And then we also have hybrid programs, which are a combination of those two different types of programs. Next slide, please. Historically, our top 5 most apprenticeable occupations tend to be your bread and butter, if you will, the trade occupations. You can see here the typical HVAC electrician. If I may have the next slide. There you go. And we just wanted to have some engagement. We're going to have a Teams poll here. If I may, which of these occupations are apprenticeable? All right.
I love that. Everybody seems to know. We're
Everyone
not
got
fooling
it.
anybody here today.
Everyone got it. Everyone's too brilliant to fall for that. But yes, as most have said, all of these occupations are apprenticeable. Any occupation that can support 2,000 hours minimum for OGT and 144 hours of that classroom experience can be apprenticeable. As registered apprenticeship in the United States continues to expand beyond the "it's just for trades" mentality, we are seeing registered apprenticeship move into new and nascent industries. We have a select few here. These industries have identified the need for registered apprenticeship, and registered apprenticeship can fulfill all of the needs on the right there. Skill shortages, accessibility, etc. Next slide, please. We have some success stories here out of Appomattox County. They are performing or building out their first youth registered apprenticeship program. That is a mechanic opportunity. And then they're out of Franklin. We have a paramedic registered apprenticeship with the Department of Public Safety. And then out of Lynchburg, we have the Aerofin collaborative partnership with Virginia Works. And the next slide, please. Thank you. Also just wanted to take some time to identify or speak to some different walks of life that registered apprenticeship can fit into. We have a few examples here, both for youth registered apprenticeship, the veterans who may apply for RA. We have our intermediaries here at Hamilton Rikers Talent Grow. And then we also have an experience here for our justice involved population. Thank you. And we spoke earlier about just busting some myths.
So thank you, Clayton, for walking us through that. And before I start in on some of the myths that we would like to dispel here, I would just like to take a moment to also speak to the different segments, the different workforce populations that registered apprenticeship can be an outstanding opportunity for. And so I think we all tend to think about apprenticeships as young people just coming into the workforce. And that is absolutely a great opportunity, particularly when we start our young people out in that in the high school space with CTE and those traditional programs. But again, even the young CTE programs are moving into the healthcare space and some of the IT space, some of the non-traditional spaces. The Skill Bridge program, working with our veterans who have so much experience to offer and bringing that over into a registered apprenticeship program. And then again, some of our incarcerated individuals who are participating in an apprenticeship program and then coming out with the ability to be gainfully employed. And so these are the skill shortages and the staffing challenges that we are facing mean that we are moving into a lot of non-traditional spaces, including some of our folks who may need disability accommodations. So all of these are great opportunities for us in registered apprenticeship. And so with that, I just want to speak a little bit to some of what, you might hear that, oh, well, apprenticeship costs too much. Well, really, for every dollar that is invested in registered apprenticeship, there's a return on investment of $1.50. So really, when you think about that return, I think for any business, they would say that's a pretty good return, not to mention some of the indirect benefits that Nicole spoke to earlier. Another one is, well, I've already gone to school and I've completed my education, so isn't that the same as an apprenticeship? But the reality of it is that there is a difference between a registered apprenticeship program and other opportunities, because to be a registered apprenticeship, you must be registered with, in our case, the Commonwealth of Virginia, or another federally sanctioned registered apprenticeship program to get both that OJT, that on-the-job training, and that related technical instruction and the classroom learning piece in order to get that nationally recognized credential. Sometimes we'll hear folks say, hey, I just don't want to have to deal with that paperwork. Well, you know what? I get it. I think what we have done, though, is orchestrated a system where we have our registered apprenticeship consultants there and available to assist you. Companies can also use intermediaries to help deal with any sort of requirements and paperwork. And quite frankly, as Clayton spoke earlier, to our Rapids database, where you can get in and do a lot of the tasks that are self-serve, they're online, they're very easy. And I'm actually hoping that maybe one of our panelists might speak to that a little later. So we have an opportunity to help you at every step of the process. And then sometimes we'll hear, well, if I already have an apprenticeship, why do I need Virginia Works? And so I think, again, the answer there is that we're here to make sure that your business is supported in their program, and we are here to ensure that the apprentice receives that nationally recognized credential for the effort that they put in. So thank you very much for this slide, and then let's go to the next one if you don't mind. Okay. So that does kind of bring us a little bit towards the end. And once again, we're going to ask you to put into the chat any additional information that would be helpful to you. That's going to allow us to capture your name and the information that you want. I've already seen a couple of folks have asked for the slides that we've presented here today, and we will absolutely follow up with you to get these slides. But if there's additional information, we're going to make sure that one of our registered apprenticeship consultants reaches out to you to make sure you get that one-on-one opportunity to get your questions answered. So feel free to go ahead and put that information in the chat if you need additional information so we can customize that. Okay, and so to keep us on track, I think what we'd like to do is advance to the next slide, where I'm going to have the pleasure of kicking off. Okay, I'm going to turn this over now to Mr. Tim Stoller, who is the Vice President for Regional Talent Solutions and Business Outreach with the Virginia Economic Development Partnership. And Tim is going to be our moderator for the panel today, and he's going to introduce our employer panelists. Tim?
Thank you, Angela, and good to see everyone today. Let me add my thanks to those of you joining today's webinar. I see a number of familiar names and faces of colleagues across the Commonwealth, but we really appreciate your time. Virginia Economic Development Partnership, we often go by an acronym VEDP. So our mission is really to work to promote and grow Virginia's economy and help support job growth across every region of Virginia. One way we do that, and a key focus of the team that I lead at VEDP, is through engagement with our existing businesses to better understand their operating experiences in Virginia, how we can help to continue to work to make Virginia more competitive. And a particular focus of our team is around the talent needs of our businesses. We've got 8 regional managers around the state that serve every corner of the Commonwealth, who work hard each day in that work with many state, local, and regional partners as we carry out our work. But I always feel that one of the best ways to gain insight and to learn is to learn from each other. And I think it's just an awesome opportunity to have panelists that are willing to share a bit about their unique perspective about how registered apprenticeships have helped to strengthen their organizations and help with employee attraction and retention efforts. I'll start with a couple of questions and ask each person to introduce themselves and then just tell us what brought you to the apprenticeship and your kind of niche in this space. So Adriana, can I start with you, if you will?
Absolutely. Well, hi, everyone. My name is Adriana Kemper. I am here talking about United Airlines and our fantastic Innovate program. When you think of United, you might think of a plane, which is absolutely our main business. We are a consumer-based brand. However, there are many different occupations that come into operating this type of company. You might think of flying a plane, fixing a plane. Have you ever thought of fixing our United application? And that's what I'm here to talk about today. However, we have apprentice programs across the company. And so like I had mentioned, our Aviate program focuses on our bringing talent into the organization to become future pilots. We have a program our Calibrate program is to bring in future technicians to fix our aircraft. And today, every company that might be here on the call today likely has an IT department or a cybersecurity department, and that is our Innovate program that I'm here to speak about today. So really excited to work with all of you. Our Innovate program is registered by the Department of Labor. I saw on the call early, many of you are, in the middle realm of knowledge, and honestly, I am too. I started this role about a year and a half ago, but it's calls like this and listening to this that's really going to help increase your knowledge. So excited to be here today and meet the other panelists.
Fantastic, and thank you very much for that introduction. Alan, can I ask you to introduce yourself and share a bit about registered apprenticeship and sort of your niche?
Absolutely. Thanks for having me. My name's Alan Farron. I'm the apprenticeship coordinator at Philip Morris USA. I'm proud to say that we have been involved as a registered apprenticeship sponsor since 1946. We recently, as recently as 2014, upgraded our program to include some new skills for our maintenance staff. So we currently have two programs. We have an electrical program and a mechanical program, which we call them fixers out here in our manufacturing environment. And both of those programs have been very successful over the last 10 years. We've been able to graduate 33 apprentices over that time span, and we have basically 100% retention rate, which speaks to the value of apprenticeship these days, especially in the skilled trades.
Well, thank you very, very much. And look forward to hearing more. Dawn, can I ask you to introduce yourself and Apteon?
Thanks, Tim. Good afternoon, everybody. Dawn Moore. I'm the project manager at Apteon Inc., which is a Virginia company. For over 20 years, Apteon has worked in the IT fields, mainly working on contracts for the U.S. Department of Labor, creating platforms. In fact, we created the famous RAPID system, and we also developed the standards builder that are used through Virginia Works. We also ran an intermediary contract for IT to help expand IT apprenticeship across the country. And we also manage a manufacturing expansion contract for the Virginia Manufacturers Association as well. So as an intermediary, we are one of 20 intermediaries across the country. Intermediaries are in IT, manufacturing, early childhood, transportation, clean energy, wireless infrastructure, healthcare. A lot of the things that Clayton and Angela mentioned earlier. There's an intermediary that is funded through the U.S. Department of Labor that is willing to help you build your apprenticeship programs. We are all nationwide. Being that Apteon and Virginia Manufacturers Association are, of course, headquartered in Virginia, we tend to do a lot of work in Virginia and have worked with Virginia Works for many years on this. We are a second set of hands and a second pair of eyes. I think that's always important to mention when we're talking about industry intermediaries. We don't approve anything. We are not an approving agency. We are just simply there to assist you, to help give you some additional feedback. What makes us a little bit different when you work with us and then when you work with Clayton and his colleagues is that we tend to stay within our industry. And so we bring a lot of nationwide expertise to the conversation on what your cohorts across the country are doing, how they're running their apprenticeship programs and the occupations that you're looking at starting as well. We bring a lot of examples of standards in those occupations. We bring a lot of examples and ideas of how you can do your related technical instruction to fit in with your work day as well. So between us looking at you from the industry nationwide and being able then to work with Virginia Works on really what needs to happen on the state level and what they bring with their expertise, you really get a very full view of what you can do and how apprenticeship can help your your agency and your organizations as you go. We will start from analyzing your needs and working with you. The first thing we're going to ask you is if you've contacted the SAA office, if you've contacted Virginia Works and who you're working with. That's always the first step for us to make sure that you know that that has to be an avenue that you have to take. But all of you know that because you're here today. So we can skip to, we can help you with your building your standards as well, setting up your programs. We can give you some resources that are available to you. One of the things that we work a lot with our organizations with are planning and designing your related instruction. That's not your expertise typically. It's not somewhere where you live within your organization. Is that classroom area. And so we bring the classroom experts to you to help you plan out what makes the most sense for you and your apprentices with related instruction. We
Dawn,
do have, yes.
if I
Okay.
could just interrupt
Sure,
you briefly
I'm done.
for just a moment. We definitely want to get to some of the other comments that you have through our other questions, but I'd like to introduce our last panelist, Annette Williams. Annette, are you there? And if so, can you please introduce yourself and talk a little bit about your niche in registered apprenticeships?
Thank you. Can you hear me okay?
Yes, Annette, thanks. Welcome.
Oh, thank you so much. So my name is Annette Williams. I'm here with IA Electric. We've been participating with the registered apprenticeship for, I would say, for at least over 5 years at this point. And our niche is that we're focused on gaining skilled individuals that are interested in electrical industry. We partnered up with Tidewater Community College and also Norfolk Public Apprenticeship Program over the years, where we've been able to attract students to come to the field and provide them with an opportunity to get additional training in the electrical field and be able to go to college in the electric and focus on certifications in the electrical field. So the benefit for us as a small business working with students as an employer from that perspective is that our students come out with zero costs. So there is no student debt for those students. So we have focused mainly on students to grow our, to help them grow economically in the community and grow to focus more on meeting their goals and dreams to become journeymen and master electricians. So for us, speaking from a small business perspective, we heavily invest in student from the student perspective into adulthood. A lot of our students that do come, whether it's through word of mouth or schools, they get the opportunity to learn about safety training, learn how to use hand tools, learn how to read blueprints and things of that nature. So for us, apprenticeship is a win-win. It is something we enjoy working with and something that we, as Angela said earlier, when you're starting, you have different levels. So when you have youth, you can focus on, because typically that's their first time getting a job. So you can focus on helping them reach their new financial goals and learn as they go on the job. For adults, it's about improving their skills, getting additional certifications. So for us as a small business, we've had a really good success rate with registered apprentices, and working with Mr. Clayton here, it's been a joy, because anytime you need resources or you don't know where to go, you can always go to your consultant and they will point you in the right direction. We lean on our consultants because they have made, they have access to different network and information that, where we may not be familiar with, they are familiar with. So it's a team, that's what I would say, is a team. And I apologize if you can't see my face, but I am smiling because I love registered apprenticeship.
Annette, thank you. We can definitely hear your smile, and we will circle back with some other questions along the way. Alan, let me come back to you to maybe provide some insight on our next question is kind of what challenges have you faced along the way and maybe what's gone better than you expected with the apprenticeships at PM?
So there are always challenges with any endeavor that you have, but I would say that some of the things that I thought were going to be a problem did not actually turn into anything major. I was really concerned about having younger folks coming into the organization and how well they would be received by a lot of the other tenured folks. And surprisingly, it was not a problem whatsoever. That was probably one of the biggest things that I was concerned about. Since we are a union environment, we have a partnership with our union to where they have a stake in the learning of the apprentices. So that really helped us overcome any challenges up front.
Great perspective. Adriana, can I ask at United, what challenges did you expect and what's gone better than expected?
Absolutely. I'll speak more to the Innovate program focused on digital technology and cybersecurity, since that is my niche. I think a few challenges as we were growing and developing this program was lack of information and knowing where to go and getting started. We had this idea, we formally launched about a year and a half ago, but had this idea about 2 years ago. And prior to me being in this industry, I was in venture capital at United Airlines. And so extreme career shift, did not know where to go, did not know where to start. I don't have any background in human resources, but had a passion for this area and skill set. And so it was going to meetings like this in order to learn more, but understanding the vernacular, where to go, what was important and what was going to be successful. This is not an area that you want to test and learn too much because it's not a project. This is people's lives and livelihoods and careers. And what I say to people is, you want to start this off successfully because it's something that could easily be cut. And so you really want to be thoughtful and strategic when you start kicking this off. However, after we launched, 3 things are what I quickly saw as being extremely successful. 1 was scale. 2 was the ability to find the right partners and how much value they can bring to you. And 3, the impact it had on people, and people as in the apprentices, but also people that also work at United Airlines and the retention we've seen there. So for scalability, we quickly went from 5 to 60 within a year, and we're able to onboard people in a way that we were able to replicate this quickly. As we were building our Department of Labor certification, that was one area where I could learn a lot, or I could hire the right people that learned a lot. And so we did a little bit of both. And so we actually partnered, our fantastic government affairs team found an organization called Build Within, who really did a lot of the uplift and work to help our register our program and verify our training paths. So we could focus on our value and assets for my team, which was mentorship, training leaders, finding the jobs, and making sure that budget was available. And then lastly, we're seeing a really successful retention rate with over 92% of apprentices staying, but also our leaders speak so highly of this program internally. And for anyone that manages an apprentice, I have a wait list of leaders that want to get engaged in this program or be a mentor to the people. So this is highly coveted within our organization for not only just the soft skills, but there is a true business need of having this new talent into our organization.
Fantastic. Thank you. Dawn, if I could maybe swing back to you. Adriana mentioned challenges. From your perspective, what challenges have you been able to identify, perhaps help to mitigate, and what's gone better than expected from Apteon's perspective?
A lot of times when we start working with partners, our partners tell us that they're overwhelmed with the process of putting together standards and figuring out how apprenticeship is going to fit within their organization. And once they find some resources through the intermediary, through their connections at the state apprenticeship offices, they realize that it doesn't have to be overwhelming, that it can become a step-by-step process. And Virginia Works is great about breaking things down and building a step-by-step process. Intermediaries are really good about doing the same thing. And so taking something that is really hard to wrap your hands around and to figure out where you jump off at once you really tap into the resources that are available, all of a sudden you have that direction and you have that plan of action.
Fantastic. Thank you. Annette, could I circle back with you for a minute or two? Any perspective on what challenges did you perceive and how things have maybe gone better than you expected?
Sure, yes. Some of the challenges, similar to what Dawn brought forward in her portion, that we face was, especially with the younger demographic, was how do we get the younger demographic to move at the rate of an skilled worker? So what I relied on at that time was, just communicating with the student, what is it that they're not understanding in the field? So I would say it would probably be their level of education and skills. So that was a big pain point because most of our apprentices go to school at night. And during the day, they're getting their OJT. And sometimes, depending on the project that we have that we're working on, the student may have never ever seen the wiring configuration or the way that the circuit should be laid out, but then they have to learn something new that morning, and then they have to learn something new at night. And so what we found is that we have one of the things that we did to overcome that gap in knowledge and then the gap in experience is put that student on specific projects that they're learning at school. So yes, it did require us to realign and readjust and reset who goes where on their, when day-to-day work. That was a really serious pain point in the beginning. But after talking with my registered consultant at that time, we kind of went back to the drawing board and said, okay, you know what, we don't want to discourage these individuals, whether it's a student or just a new hire that had a little bit of experience. We don't want to discourage anyone about what they don't know, but how can we encourage them to get to what we do know? We want them to do know that moment. So I would say, we overcame it, to answer that question, by just communicating and being a little bit more strategic on what projects that student is going to work on. So that was something that I did not expect, but it did show up. And a year later, now it's going much better, much smoother, and the student feels like he's learning at the pace and he is able to keep up with the job demand.
Yeah, that insightful story. Thank you. That's a really good perspective. Maybe if I could go back around to each panel member and maybe just in a few words share what has the registered apprenticeship had, what's been the primary impact on your business? I think you've touched on some really important themes in your comments thus far. Dawn, can I start with you?
For us, we see the biggest impact and positive outcome being the skilling up, in bridging that skills gap. A lot of our partners use apprenticeship with incumbent workers. That's something that we're seeing more and more of that needs to be addressed. That incumbent workers that have been in that same job for a while that show that potential, that apprenticeship is an amazing way to to allow them to see a new career path or can extend their career path into learning new skills and moving up and into better and higher paying positions.
Thank you. Adriana, what would you say is a primary impact of registered apprenticeships at United?
Absolutely. I think from our perspective, the reason why we got into developing a registered apprenticeship program is not for United, but for the apprentice. We knew that we wanted to make sure that they had a credential or something to verify that they not only just worked at United and got some very valuable experience, but something that was validated by a government agency. So if they wanted to develop their career at United, they absolutely had the chance to, but they also now have the flexibility to go grow at another company or organization. Not our goal whatsoever, but it empowers the apprentice more and to be more successful in their career. And so that's why we went down the track to build this program out and also make sure that it's registered.
Thank you. And it sounds like it's really helped with retention along the way as well.
Absolutely. And I'm
Yeah.
waiting to save my success story for next, so everyone be ready.
Alan, how would you characterize the primary impact at Philip Morris?
So I think one of the primary impacts that I've seen is on the culture of our manufacturing, bringing in the younger perspective to actually work alongside those with tenure has really provided a breath of fresh air in some cases, if you will. Additionally, it's improved retention. Our recruitment, although we use the same process to recruit for apprentices as we would a skilled worker, it seems to go smoother and it's much more, I should say, broader because we're able to get many more applicants in that aspect as well. So our view on diversity has improved that way as well. But probably one of the biggest impacts is on the whole person of the apprentice. I mean, they come in, a lot of them very young, very little background as far as education or skills and abilities. And by the time they're done after the 4-year program, they have an associate's degree along with the journeyman certifications, and they really truly have a career after that. So,
fantastic. Thank you. Annette, any quick comments on the primary impact of registered apprenticeship in your organization?
Yes, to piggyback off of Alan, I would agree with him 100%. A lot of it's really nice to see the productivity increase as they move along the year by year. But most importantly, it's nice to see them walk away with their certifications that they're grateful, they earned. A lot of times they're not expecting these certifications, whether it's a OSHA 10 certification, an OSHA 30 certification, their journeyman. We even had an individual get his master's. He was a well-seasoned employee that he saw what the younger individuals were doing, and he said, you know what, I think I'm going to go for my master's. So the reward is not just for the business, just watching and seeing people grow that can be to help the next generation of workers, of environments, our economy. It's just a bigger reward, I think, at the end. But yeah, I think it's definitely been successful watching the growth and also being there to give them that pat on the back that says, you know what, job well done, you earned this. And, you protect this thing and keep growing and keep paying it forward. So that was one of the unexpected things, but a good impact to the business.
Thank you. Folks, we've got just a few minutes left. Maybe take a minute each and I'll just go around. What's been your favorite success story within your organization related to registered apprenticeship? Adriana, can I start with you?
Absolutely. I think From a personal perspective, it's getting to know the people. We have over 60 people that are currently in the program, and actually, about 2 weeks ago, we had our first apprentice get promoted. They had applied to another position in the organization that someone had reached out to them and said, I want you to apply for this role on my team, which just warms my heart. And I'm going to cry on the call, so please don't make fun of me. But I think that's what we're here to do. It's not just a job. We're developing careers, and so I think that's absolutely fantastic. And the other thing that I love to see is just how, like, it's a lot of work getting this up and running, but once you do it, and it runs well, you find the best partners, you find the best people to bring in. It is the easiest and most satisfying job in the world, and like, I don't want to do anything else. So thank you all for building something similar at this program, and hopefully in a year and a half, when you're in my position, you'll be on calls crying, seeing success stories from the people that you get to work with day in and day out.
Thank you. Alan, a quick favorite success story?
So I've got so many I could share, but honestly, I've been blessed to be able to be a part of this program. But my most favorite one is I had a young man apply. He was 18, high school senior. His mom dropped him off at the front of the factory to attend his interview. He didn't even have a driver's license. He went on through the program. He graduated with straight A's through the program with honors. He did a marvelous job. He was motivated and engaged the entire time. He was recognized by Chesterfield County as being a spotlight student with their continuing career. He's now gone on to earn his bachelor's in business administration. So he's well on his way to continuing his career stepping stones, and I'm glad to say I was able to mentor him along the way, and that's my biggest success story.
Congratulations. Dawn, a quick story of your favorite success so far.
As part of our work, we created the Advanced Manufacturing Machine Operator group program for the Virginia Manufacturers Association. And our first partner that took our program into their site completed their first cohort with 11 of the 12 completing the program. And of the 11, 10 of those were female, which females are very underrepresented in manufacturing. So we were very, very pleased with that. And more than half of them want to continue to upskill and to build their careers there at that site because of the opportunities that their apprenticeship program gave them.
What a great angle and perspective for sure. Annette, our last perspective, a quick success story.
Yes, we had a returning citizen enter into our program. He had applied. It's been 3 years total. Yes. So he had applied after re-entering into the workforce. We've been able to get him on, pretty much help him identify a guide on what he wanted to do at the end, which is tap into his true talent. He was able to get his learner's permit. He was able to get his driver's license. He was able to get his journeyman, his OSHA certification. He got his Tidewater certificates, and he was a certification in electrical technician. And he also was able to, so he didn't complete the full program because he had a change in what he wanted to do. But again, while we had him, he completed the primary steps to getting his journeyman. And he reached out after he got his journeyman, because he did end up moving, and life took, I don't want to say the wrong thing, but life took over, and he was able to get his journeyman, and he was able to continue his life with his journeyman. So for us, the success rate was that we were able to help him identify a path and stick to the path, stick to the goal, and reach his ultimate dream. So for us, that was a success rate. a success
Fantastic
story.
story to end on. Let me just, we're at time. I just really want to thank our panelists. Great perspectives. Love how much the emphasis of your comments focused on helping the individuals, not just the companies that you represent, but obviously a key benefit there too. So thank you all for participating and for the great comments. And I we'll say just to our Virginia Works friends, thank you so much for the collaboration with this event. Really appreciate it. And thanks for attending all the comments in the chat along the way. Nicole, can I throw it back to you?
Absolutely. Whoops. Can't unmute. There we go. All right. Thank you all so much for taking the time with us today. I know that we're over time. We didn't really get too much time for Q&A, but we've been trying to answer the questions in the chat. You can use this QR code to pull up a list of the Virginia Works RA consultants that you can connect with in your area. I know we've been trying to go person by person in the chat and give you some POCs to connect with. We will follow up with a set of these slides for your continued perusal. If you have any questions, Angela and I will also put our emails directly in the chat for just RA program questions in general. And I just want to thank you again for taking the time with us on this National Apprenticeship Week. We are so excited to be with you and to have taken this time. Thanks again, and let's keep sharing the story of apprenticeship.
Thank you, everyone.